that's something we can return to at a later date.
Tony Caridi, voice of West Virginia. We will get to the future without Bob Huggins. But, Tony, let me ask you this. We were asked a question. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. A question in our chat room about the facilities and overall athletic department. Obviously, football is kind of been up and down at West Virginia. We know what they were doing in basketball. Where would you say West Virginia is when it comes to their facilities? Are they pretty much set, or are they always possibly looking for more in this day and age of the arms races?
So I think basketball facility-wise, I think you could probably talk to Coach Drew and to a lot of people in the Big 12. I think it's considered one of the top two basketball practice facilities in the league, and it's probably considered in the top 10 in the country. It was a $26 million expenditure when it was first built, and it really it's a fantastic facility. As far as football goes, the stadium itself, it's gone through a bunch of renovations since I've been here, and I've been here since 1984, so it took around 40 years. What we used to call the facility building. I don't know, that's old school terminology, but basically where the players live. Ren Baker, who's now the athletic director here, I know you guys are familiar with from the North Texas days. He thinks that our facilities, as far as the football aspect of it goes, are among, without question, the top 10 percentile in the country. He thinks they're as good. They just finished those off. Stadium-wise, it seats 60,000, and first year was 1980, and it's still fine. How would you compare it to? I think it's like Iowa State-ish. Obviously, it's not as new as Baylor's, not as new as Texas Tech's, but it's overall it's fine. So I would say, we're there. I guess a point what I would make is it does not West Virginia's facilities do not hurt them in recruiting. I would say that they're right there.
Mm-hmm. All right. So how difficult on the campus within the university have the last 3 or 4 days been with the news that Bob Huggins is out?
Oh, as you would know, it's extremely emotional. You've got a guy who was born here in Morgantown, who played here and came back and spent 16 seasons here and gave West Virginia its first Final Four since the days of Jerry West. And as you guys know, just a difficult to describe character in the sense that he's beloved, plain and simple, but he's old school, the whole deal. I mean, he was a different dude. He was the first guy that wore the pullovers that became the standard for what coaches wear nowadays. So it's extremely emotional. It's extremely difficult to see it end, and especially the way that it did. And so it's been really, really hard.
Tony, just how have you seen maybe the school, the university, or the community kind of come together? Obviously, very tough on the players, and especially when you've had a successful offseason and bringing guys in. Just sort of what's the protocol there and kind of the expectation at the moment? Is it kind of a time is standing still, or is it, hey, there's not enough time to try and figure out what's next?
Yeah, so it's a good question. You're into a situation now, and you're going to start to look at rules that you really didn't hope that you had to look at. But right. The rule is that if there's a coaching change at this point, once the hire is made, the student athletes have 30 days to make a decision to put themselves back into the portal. As you guys know, portal is closed, but the portal opens for coaching changes. And as you know, you normally don't get coaching changes this late in the off season. And so, to answer your question, people are in a wait-and-see mode. They're hoping that the players that are on roster right now are patient enough to at least give this a good look, wait till the hire is made, meet with the coach, whomever that is, and then make a decision off of that. And I think that people are, hoping that's the set. And, we just had a women's coaching change back in March. I think it was March or April when they made the move, and they went 6 for 6. All 6 of the players that could have come back and stayed did, and that's fantastic. But statistically across the country, that rarely happens, both on the men and the women's side. So you hope that you have a majority of these guys stay put, But again, it's all going to be determined by who the next head coach is.
So you mentioned Ren Baker. We had Ren on a handful of times when he was at North Texas. He has connections with Mack Rhodes, who's at Baylor, as you know. How about his first few months on the job? Huh? You mentioned what are they going to do with football, because there was always a little bit of that, and now this twice. I mean, welcome to West Virginia, right, Ren?
I would say the one thing that you could say about Ren is that he hasn't been bored since he got here. He got hit with it, from day one. There's just been, we had the two incidents here within the span of just a little under 6 weeks with Bob Huggins. He unexpectedly had to hire a women's basketball coach. The previous coach was one and done, and he made a great hire. He took the guy again from the state of Texas, Mark Kellogg from Stephen F. Austin, who did a fantastic job there. And so that was a really good hire. And now, he's working on this. I've got total confidence in him. He's a basketball guy. I mean, he's a former basketball coach. He was on, one of the staff guys very early in his career as a GA with Eddie Sutton. He's just a basketball guy, so he knows this landscape. I think some ADs may be better suited for certain hires because that's their area. This is his wheelhouse. So he's not heading into unfamiliar territory. He knows where the prospective clients are. The thing that comes down to here, guys, is this. In a perfect world, you hire your next head coach, and that's your next guy, and it's on a permanent basis. But because of the calendar, you don't have as an open available field of candidates as you will next March. And so the question becomes, can he get the person that he wants right now, or does he have to wait? And if he has to wait, then you'll go interim. And if you go interim, then who would that interim coach be? So those are all the different silos, so to speak, that he's working through to see which way this thing ends.
Tony, does the person who replaces Bob Huggins, do they have to have West Virginia ties in some way, or ties to a coach who's been there?
I don't think so. I think that I don't think that's. I think that sometimes plays into it, but no. I mean, look around. I think that's old school to a point. I mean, it's good. It's good. Yeah, Hugs came and he knew West Virginia, played at West Virginia. Yeah, that's okay. Guess what? John Beeline, he wasn't a Mountaineer, and he came in here and just did a fantastic job. And so Don Nealon, our greatest football coach ever, played at Bowling Green and coached at Bowling Green, and Bo Schembechler at Michigan came here and he became, this iconic figure. So I think sometimes that might get a little bit, too much consideration goes into that. I think what you have to do as the person that's making the hire is you just need to find the person that can best fit into the world that you're putting them into. And each place is different. I mean, there's no question that West Virginia has some uniqueness about it that other places don't. And the same could be said, like, I think you need a certain dude to coach in Lubbock and a certain dude to coach in Waco and a certain person to coach in Ames. I think you have to have that fit. And so I think that's the most important thing as you go about to make this hire is who can fit in here. Now, with Bob Huggins, I mean, you talk about a fit. I mean, it was like the perfect fit. And as a result, our fans just passionately follow this team. But the same could be said, after John Beeline established himself. I mean, that people, were into it. People want to win regardless. I truly, but I mean, you could hire a Martian. If the Martian won, people like the Martian as your coach. I really do believe that.
Yeah.
So you guys know that they want to be entertained. They want to, they want to have someone, that gets it, that, shares their emotions. What doesn't go over well is the person who comes in and constantly is looking for that next, doesn't make that full, hey, I'm here, I'm with you. And that's what I think, and not only in this market, but in other markets. When you always are together, every day is a different, like, oh, you got to walk on eggshells if this person might leave. That's what bums people out. That's the thing that never happened with Bob Huggins, right? They knew when he came here that it was to come here until his career as a coach was over. And so they always had that feel as well, that he's one of us and he's come here. And I could go into the history of the state of West Virginia, while we'll have even, I think, more so than most places, have that desire and that feel. And we can get into non-sports topics, about coal mines being owned by outside enterprises and that whole mentality of they come, they take. And people don't like that, obviously. And as a result of that, they like to feel that the person that's with them is truly with them. And I think that's an important piece to it.
Tony, thanks for jumping on. I know it's been a difficult 3 or 4 days, and then see how things progress here with what Ren and, of course, the school and athletic department do. We always appreciate your time, and thank you very much.
Okay, my pleasure. You guys take care.
You too. Tony Caridi, voice of West Virginia athletics, with us on 365 Sports.
I appreciate him doing that, because as the voice of